You're doing everything that you can think of to get rid of your tennis elbow or lateral epicondylitis pain. You're stretching the shit out of everything. You're doing these exercises, and why is it not working? Well, my name is Huang. I'm an occupational therapist and certified hand therapist, and I help people with hand and arm injuries. Let me share with you why things might not be working. Because you can do what you think are all the right things. You're resting it, you're wearing all the shit on your arms. You're like, I'm exercising, I'm doing wrist curls, I'm stretching. Why is it not working? I can tell you that I was frustrated as well, because early on in my career as an occupational therapist, when I moved from one position to another position, I had to use my arm quite a bit for writing, and also for the therapy. And I developed a terrible tennis elbow pain, and I would go through the day and my arm would be so exhausted after writing, so exhausted after stretching small fingers, and I did everything that you're doing. I did the stretching, I did the wrist curls, I did the ultrasound, I did the ESAM, and none of that shit was working. So I wanted to share with you what things don't work and to stop doing, because it actually will go against everything that you are trying to do. And that's like my other video where I'm showing you some of my top exercises. So the things that don't work might be your stretches, right? So look at me. I always talk about two types of people in the world. We have a body type, and how you treat it is based on your body type, because we're not all cookie cutter. We're humans, but we're not all made the same, right? So some of us are stiff as a board. Knock on wood, you can't bend them, they don't move, you know. But for the people who are very loosey-goosey, right, the word for that is actually called hypermobile, right? So some of us tend to be a little bit more hypermobile than others. So my fingers can go all the way back. I can actually touch my thumb to my forearm, which I don't encourage you to do. Don't do that. It's a little trick, but if you do it too much, you're gonna irritate your thumb. So, but if my elbows go way back, if you look at my knees go into what's called hyperextension as well. So if you have a loosey-goosey body like mine, stretching it, right, will not help you, especially if you're stretching it like this and you're pulling from your fingers. You feel the stretch, but it can actually cause a lot more damage than good. It feels good in the moment. Oh, you're like, oh my God, it feels so good. But if your arm's really tired, I used to think that was a good thing. If your arm's really tight, you actually might have what we call nerve tension. And no, you can't see it. There's no test to see nerve tension. And this is why it's such a confusing topic. But you feel that like line that's pulling through, like people who tell me that they have tendonitis pain or any kind of tendonitis, they'll tell me there's a deep line that they feel. That's nerve tension, right? So we think, oh my God, we stretch it, but nerves don't act the same way as muscles and tendons. And when you stretch and stretch like this all the time and it does not help, that's not the thing for you, right? It can help at first, but at some point, that's not the thing that helps you. You gotta stop doing it. It's hard to stop doing it because we've gotten into this habit. So some of us, right, need more compressive forces than stretched out, what we call decompressive forces, right? So sometimes some of us need to be put back together versus stretched out. Get it? So instead of stretching all the way out, sometimes it helps to push and pull everything together. Push and pull everything together, right? Push and pull everything together. And if that feels really good, you need more compressive forces versus stretching out, right? So if stretching has not worked to get rid of your stuff, even if it feels good in the moment, but it doesn't feel good later, and you feel like you have to stretch all the time just to feel good, that's not working. So you might need to put yourself together more than stretch yourself apart. So that's one of the things that do not help you if you're trying to get rid of tennis elbow pain. The second thing that I don't think really helps you are stupid wrist curls. You're there and you're like, oh my God, I'm doing these wrist curls, I'm up to 5 pounds and the muscle is burning. It's not that your muscles are weak. Your wrist extensors, that is a very strong group of muscles, right? It's a very strong group of muscles. when you use your hands, look, if you squeeze, the natural cadence of your hand, if you squeeze, you should have what we call a little bit of wrist extension. When you squeeze, your wrist naturally goes into extension. So your muscles work. They work. But maybe they're not getting enough support. They're not getting enough support from other muscles that are supposed to be helping. And that comes from the shoulder. So if you get a chance, go look at some of my videos that share like the 5 exercises that I think really help with lateral epicondylitis or tennis elbow. I do it with all my patients. I don't just treat the elbow, I treat above and below. I make sure that the muscles in the hand are not tight, and then I make sure that the shoulder blade muscles and the shoulder muscles are doing their job to support the elbow, because the elbow takes on a lot of forces. And if your muscles are not well balanced, it's gonna cause irritation in the lateral epicondylitis or tennis elbow area. Now, I know some people are gonna watch this and be like, well, stretches and curls work for you. Great. I'm only talking to the people who those things do not help. And there's more than 50% of us that shit does not help for. And this video is for them. And so are all my other videos. Because if you just can stretch and it goes away, then you're good to go. You don't need this shit. But if it didn't help you and you're still suffering and it still bothers you and it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're trying to avoid the injections and you're trying to avoid someone saying, oh, let me go in there and cut out and scrape all the decrepitous, degenerative tendon. You're trying to avoid that. Give yourself a chance and make sure that you're covering all the areas and getting to the root cause of the problem. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them below, and my links are down there as well.